It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara.
Hello.
All right, I found the audio, Eric.
What do you got? Okay, let's hear
Stephen
it.
A. Smith walking off the News Nation set.
Okay.
Everybody was having their CNN, I guess, had their town hall. You had News Nation with it, but here we go.
Okay, all right.
And this is after apparently some young man walked off to the microphone and said he had to leave to go to work and to help pay for stuff, and all these members of Congress sitting on stage are all getting paid. So he goes into what I viewed as, after when he was done, I went, that's a perfect populist rant. Al Bundy could have done that.
Yeah.
By the way, the best populist rant ever was Married with Children, Al Bundy doing the beer tax.
Yeah. Right.
When they were going to raise the beer tax. And he
Right.
said, we I don't care about this, I don't care about that, but we had our beer and they taxed it. Oh, that's still the greatest populist speech, political speech ever. Al Bundy and the beer tax. Go look it up. Here we go. This is Stephen A. Smith. Here we go.
We're listening to this kind of stuff while a young man walked up to the microphone and said that he had to leave here to go and work on DoorDash to help pay for his daughter's tuition. Meanwhile, everybody up here getting paid. But he ain't. This is this kind of stuff right here. That's how you know, and I'm not accusing any of you directly or personally of feeling this way. I'm just talking about the apparatus that is Washington, the nation's capital. This is why you have so many Americans, excuse my language, so pissed off at Washington, because somehow, some way, you get to have these conversations, engage in specific elements of it to talk about what we need to do to get things better. Our debt is $37.8 trillion. Somehow, some way, the taxpayers been paying this, been throwing money, because we all look at our check, and it's been going to the government. And somehow, some way, you're supposed to be doing something constructive and productive enough to make sure that we don't have that kind of deficit. It isn't happening. A government shutdown is going on right now. A man has to work on DoorDash when he's really an air traffic controller that we applauded. And we're up here talking about how much some money is going to cost. And the only person that don't have a check coming is him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a break.
And he walks off stage. But as you notice, he never connected the dots in anything.
Well, but
It was basically, the message was, this guy's an air traffic controller. And by the way, they would have received the first check today, I believe. And they got a partial check, I believe, today. But he had to go work at DoorDash to help pay for his child's tuition. Everybody's up here is getting paid. He threw the debt in and everything else, but never got into the specifics of it, that's part of the discussion.
Well, that was a classic populist rant.
Yeah.
Here's what you heard. Washington, blah, blah, blah. Everybody up here is getting paid. No, I don't mean that personally. But, in generally speaking. Washington's bad. The people are suffering. They're angry. And I'm angry. And I'm going to take a break. It is, it really is it is a classic.
Because my point would have been, whoa, don't go anywhere. You started this. Get back here.
Yeah.
We're in the arena of ideas.
Give me an opinion on what we do about it.
You're sitting here talking about the fact that we're all getting paid, and that may be. I had nothing to do with it, and I can't stop that. But what I can stop is the Democrats wanting to spend another $1.5 trillion when you just made a big stink that the debt's a problem, but you don't wish to discuss it. You just wish to walk off stage, and you want to walk off stage. And that's one of the 5 reasons, Stephen A. Smith, one of the 5. Number 1, number 2, I'm doing the whole thing that he does on ESPN when he does, the top 5 teams, and the energy is the same as it was right there. I'm really not angry. I was role playing there.
I question whether he is at times, because it's the same, it's almost like listening to an 80s song that starts as a ballad and it's going to turn into a metal song by the end. It's like, okay, this is you're listening to Stephen A. Smith, he's going to start and then all of a sudden he's going to be shouting. And it's like, okay, we get this.
Well, it's
a formula.
The Populus rant always gets the idiots to applaud.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to. Yes. The poor working guy, the government, and the debt, and I'm walking off. Well, you didn't say a damn thing.
You didn't have one suggestion.
Yeah.
You didn't issue one opinion except in fact no opinion. It was all emotion.
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. We've been there, done that. It's a waste of time. Get to what the problem is and what the solutions are.
Yeah. Have an opinion.
I have a feeling, he's made some good points at times, general points, but I'm getting the feeling that the issues are getting too big for Stephen A. Smith right now. Because you've got to get, one of the things that we've talked about all the time is, and if you're a listener to the show, you know this at any length of time, you got to get into the minutia of it. You just can't be throwing meme mentality at people. We used to call it bumper sticker mentality. It's meme mentality now. Because the meme doesn't cover the menu, and the devil isn't always in the details.
Well, it's like somebody who wants to go and take and train, in martial arts, and then they tell you, well, but you've got to go out and compete. You've got to test in order to advance and all this. No, I don't want to test. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to actually step into the arena. Just show me a couple of moves. And you start on this sideline where you're doing it because you're getting attention for doing it, but where it counts is where you can get in and actually have a debate and go one-on-one with the opposition, whoever. I don't know who the opposition is for him, but you go one-on-one with the opposition. You've got to, that's what it requires. You can't just run around the outside of the arena, the ring, the boxing ring, screaming, that something needs to be done.
Don't Jon Stewart at Stephen A. Smith. Remember him on Firing Line?
I'm just a comedian.
Right. He went after both. You guys say this, and then you said to them, well, what about you? I'm just a comedian.
Yeah.
So I can't be challenged.
Right.
I can enter the arena of ideas, but I'm a comedian. No, sorry. You enter the arena of ideas, you're going to be questioned. And I'm glad you thought the same thing I did, because after I'm like, well, that's a nice populist rant, but you didn't say anything.
Well, because he probably thought there was questions coming. That's why he had to take a break. He's like, oh, crap, they're going to ask me questions.
I'm so furious.
I'm
taking a break.
I'm leaving. It's like, yeah, all right. Because when you're doing it, when you're on a TV set and there's nobody there, it's your show, or you're on your podcast and there's nobody there that's going to ask you questions, you can sit and rant all day. But eventually you got to get around to, okay, so then what? What do you think should be done?
Yeah.
And he knows, I guarantee you, he knew that was going to happen in that kind of setting, in a town hall setting. So I'm leaving. Yeah, we know why you're leaving.
Because the questions get tough.
Yep. Debate isn't easy.
Right.
It is if you stand on your convictions. It is if you believe in something and what you believe in is backed by the facts. It becomes a lot easier. You're not afraid to debate anybody. Look at anybody in the Trump right now, the Trump White House or administration, with very few exceptions, whether they're sitting in front of lawmakers or on a TV set somewhere, they're not afraid to go back and forth anymore, which is greatly refreshing, especially when it comes to the Republican Party that has just, laid down over and over the years and not had a backbone for anything. And now we have people, the vice president, other people in his administration, and staffers that are not afraid to hand it back to the media or lawmakers. And that's what it requires. You've got to have conviction, but you have to know where you stand. Being a populist isn't going to get you there. Trying to appease everybody and doing it for the applause is going to be limited at best.
Now, I'll criticize him when he does the populist thing, but I'll compliment him when he does this. Ready for this?
All right.
This is Stephen A. Smith also on that panel. Here we go.
Out of respect to Kamala Harris, let me tell you why she deserves an explanation as to why I don't think she could have gotten it done. Because leading into the election, what was the problem? It was extreme capitulation to the progressive left, who were finding reasons to side with, I don't want to say siding with Hamas. I certainly don't want to accuse them of that. But it just seemed like whatever they wanted, the left that wasn't far left was leaning more left. And so because of that, why should we believe that all of a sudden she'd get into office and she'd forget what she thought got her there? That's the only reason I'm saying that.
Well, I think you ought to have the guts to say and be honest and be blunt. You know exactly that they're siding with Hamas.
Yeah.
And the party has become the party of anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
This is where Stephen A. Smith doesn't want. He's still trying to play the both sides thing.
He's walking that fence.
Yeah. And you can't do that in politics today.
Well, no, because
you can do it to a certain extent. He can do it if he just enters it once a month, after he does his sports. But when you get into every day, but at least he's getting closer there.
And on some things, as you mentioned earlier, I mean, we've agreed and I've been pleasantly surprised on a couple of his rants. But again, not that I need to give advice to Stephen A. Smith, but my thought is, if you actually believe in something, it's okay to stand for what you believe in. In fact, I believe it's required. If you're saying these things, there's a reason you're saying these things. You understand it, which means you agree with these certain principles. Say it. It's okay. In fact, it's liberating. If you've been on the left, or if you know of the left, you know the fear of the mob in recent years. The mob will come after you. Well, the fact is, say the truth. Whatever the mob's going to do, they're going to do. But if you're speaking the truth, nobody can fault you for that. Have an opinion. Stand your ground.
Eventually, though, especially in this day and age, if you're going to go after the left, you have to go after the specifics. You can't do it in generalities.
You have to have the debates.
Yeah.
You have to have the debates.
And
I don't know where he stands, and that's the problem. I don't, and not that I need to know where he stands, but the point is, if you're going to do this and you're going to be in the arena of public ideas, the debate it's not just sparring. You've got to get in the ring, and you've got to have the full-on debate.
Well, the public isn't as dumb as many people believe. They understand BS. Young people understand BS.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons that Charlie Kirk was so popular on college campuses.
Yes. And he knew when he started Turning Point, man, at 18, he knew. I know they'll listen. I know I can have debates and conversations.
Right. But
he knew that from the beginning.
They can smell BS. They know when you're not answering a question.
Yes.
And they know a significant portion of the public knows the difference between really describing and defining an issue versus just glossing over it with meme mentality.
My 6-year-old grandson, he's my youngest of my grandkids. You know, and I've said this about kids, but even from an early age, they know. They know when you're not telling them the truth. They know, you know, they ask a lot of questions, and they pick up on it. And Charlie knew that at that level, by the time they're in college, they're going to be open to listening and having discussions and debates. He knew that. And young people aren't stupid. They're just not. And they may be willfully ignorant. They may be ill-informed, but they're not stupid.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
The IFTA tax program redistributes tax revenue to states based on your actual miles run. Thus, the truly cheapest fuel can only be found if you subtract federal and state taxes and state surcharges from the pump price to compare. The strategy means that you buy without regard for whether you are paying more at the pump in taxes. IFTA also considers state surcharges, which complicates the fuel buying strategy. Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia have per gallon surcharges. Connecticut, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon have per mile surcharges. While some owner-operators buy only enough fuel to get through surcharge states, this practice can backfire, depending on the actual cost of the fuel in each state. When comparing fuel prices, always remember, pump pride minus taxes equals the real fuel cost. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, some audio from James Carville. Serpent, you ready?
All right.
All right, talking about Trump deserves credit.
Oh. Okay.
Listen, he's got some pauses in there like it's killing him to do it. But either that or it's just his style.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Stopping this, bringing these hostages back. I don't know, you can say, well, it may not last that long, but you know what? He did it. And I think he deserves some credit for it. Right? They just do and should do it. Look at all the credit that Jimmy Carter got for Camp David, that George H.W. Bush got when the Berlin Wall fell. But they're having a legitimate, kind of moment in the sun, and that's fine. And hopefully this thing will hold. We'll see. But I don't have any problem with saying that they did something which, as of now, other people failed to do.
Wow.
Wow.
That almost didn't sound painful. It's,
oh my gosh.
again, that it's so hard for the left because of the mode that they have been in. I said the other day, you don't have to say anything, but don't lie about it. It's a good thing. And Trump was responsible. You hear him say it. He gets a lot of the credit. Okay. That's as much as he could give Trump, a lot of the credit. I know there's other players involved here, but this was Trump's game. But that sounded...
Well, I think we should give, though, Biden some credit. He showed Trump what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
show that never stops. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Now, you got to listen to this here.
All right.
Here
Okay.
we go.
All right.
This is a good one. This woman is running for governor of California.
Okay. Yeah.
Betty Yee, former California state controller.
Okay.
On with Piers Morgan. And he gets into talking about, the Olympics coming to California and should men compete against women. This is the most perfect example of why Democrats are completely and totally delusional. Now, my question is, does she really buy it? And I asked this because I looked her up, her biography. She's 67 years old.
Okay.
Do you really think that she believes that the Title IX was about transgenders?
No.
No. Age has something to do with it. If you're completely ignorant of Title IX because you're somebody who is younger and you just didn't know what it was about at that time, but it was huge when it happened in the 70s. And she's old enough to know about it. But this gets to be just so bizarre. It's like pulling teeth. Here we go.
They are now part of, they have been through a transition, a physical transition, and I do believe that they should be able to participate with other female athletes.
Wow, well, you've got the Olympics coming to California, to LA. So are you suggesting that you would allow trans athletes to compete in women's sport in the Olympics if you were governor?
Well, I think there's still a lot of discussion that needs to happen. I think there's a lot of information we need to learn about what's really happening with the ability of trans athletes to compete. But my statement is about being able to be sure that they can compete. And right now, there's
my question is whether you think they should compete in women's sport in the Olympics, because it's coming to LA, so it's relevant.
I think transgender female athletes are women athletes, and they should be able to compete.
Really? So if you were governor of California, you would support biological males who identify as women competing in women's sport in the Olympics?
They are now identified as transgender female.
And you think that and you think it's fair that they should then compete in women's sport?
I think they should be able to compete in women's sports, but I also think that there is still some discussion about whether they should compete in the same field. But I just want them to be able to participate.
Sure, I'm sure you do. Why, out of interest, why do you think we separate the sexes in the Olympics?
Well, because they do come with different attributes in terms of physicality. And
so you accept that we separate the sexes because men have a physical advantage over women?
I know about an advantage in some sports, yes. In other sports, maybe not.
Can you think of a single sport in the Olympics where men would not have an advantage over women, with the exception potentially of archery?
I think you can see female athletes where, particularly in track and field, where agility is probably...
Hang on, are you suggesting that women... So hang on. You think that women could compete against men in track and field, like in 100 meters, 200 meters, 10,000 meters, do you?
Perhaps. I'm not a sports expert. But...
Of course they couldn't. Have you seen the times that women and men record in the Olympics for all track and field events? Have you watched Usain Bolt when he smashed the world record for the 100 meters?
Yes.
So you think women could run against Usain Bolt, for example, at his peak, and that would be fair?
I think, look, I'm just going to say this. There's a lot of misinformation about the ability of transgender athletes.
That wasn't my question. My question was, you've got the Olympics coming to your state. Yes. You want to be the California governor. I am actually a resident in California, in Los Angeles. So I'm very curious about your response to how you would want the Olympics to be conducted, which would be fair and equitable for women. But it seems to me like you would like to remove any sexual differentiation between the Olympic sports and let them all compete. It would be gender neutral, wouldn't it, if you were governor?
Well, I want to be sure that everyone has the ability to compete.
Right, but would you have a gender neutral Olympics where you would have you wouldn't have male and female sport then? You just have one that everyone could join in.
Well, I don't think we're going to get that tomorrow, but I think it's a conversation worth having.
You think it's a conversation worth having where you have gender neutral Olympics?
Because we need to understand what the attributes are of athletes across the spectrum.
But you've already said that you understand the reason they separate the sexes is that men have a physical advantage over women.
I mean, where do you go? This is why it's impossible to debate with a liberal.
Yep.
It's impossible.
Well, I'm no sports expert.
This idiot is running for governor of California.
Right.
And Democrats are going, a lot of Democrats, yep, she's the one. We need this kind of honesty. We need this kind of logical, connect the dot, common sense out there. She's nuts.
And
God, come on.
Beyond the Olympics, if she became governor, just like the current governor, she would think it's okay for men to be in your daughter's locker room.
Yep. Sorry, she's nuts. Let's be blunt, right? She's nuts.
I say we propose this to the Olympic Committee.
Perhaps you think women could compete in the 100 meter, the 10,000 meter? Perhaps.
Let's see it happen.
I'm sorry.
Let's make it happen.
You know, sometimes people say, well, you should name call. Sometimes name calling is completely and totally accurate.
I know nothing about sports, but
I know she knows nothing about sports, but then she understands the physical difference, but then she believes that women can compete with men in track, in the 100 meter, perhaps the 10,000 meter. I mean, it's just like in
yeah.
There is nothing like that on the right.
No.
There's nothing like that. If you want to know, if Democrats want to know, are there things you can criticize the right on? Of course. Is there anything like that on the right that's been institutionalized and is now mainstream within the party? Is there anything that's mainstream in the Republican Party that can compare to the insanity of Betty Yee, who's running for governor of California, and that's the mainstream thought in California and in National Democrats? If you want to know why they have the problems that they have, that's it right there on that issue. That is pure insanity. And it's insanity not just because she believes that men should compete against women, but she's completely clueless as to how to defend it. She's taking both sides of the issue, saying, well, because there's. I'll acknowledge there's a difference, but then where could they compete? Well, track and field, perhaps track and field. Well, she actually initiated track and field,
right? That was
track
her
and
idea,
field. What the hell are you talking about? It's just like,
yep. It's and ultimately, again, it goes back to your daughters in the schools in states like this, where, and you and I remember, we go back to the very first case that actually came out of California, where we said this is only going to get worse, because a young girl had a concern with a man being in her bathroom, and she was told she was a bigot. And they pretend that they're standing up for transgenders, and what they're doing is they're going after parental rights more and more.
Yeah, I mean, and it's pure insanity. I mean, they're losing it. There was a lot of discussion yesterday on the study that was done saying a lot less young people believing that they identify as the other sex. I mean, down drastically. And some of these liberal institutions, like in Boston, they were talking about down 2/3.
Right.
And that's where the brainwashing comes in, as we talked about. That's why they wanted the whole Disney thing.
Yep.
With DeSantis, all of that.
Yep.
That was all about the fact that they wanted to get children and indoctrinate them and brainwash them into believing they could be whatever sex they wanted to be.
And if the parents try and interfere, then we're going to call that abuse.
Yep.
When they say they're coming after your children, they're not lying. You should believe them.
And what kind of perverted, evil adults think that way?
You know, that study was refreshing because it tells you that it isn't working and that, again, you can't build something based on lies. They built it on lies, but lies enforced by intimidation. That's what they built it on. Don't you dare try and step out of line. And today, hopefully this is the trend that keeps going in this direction. It's being rejected more and more.
And finally, let's hear from Fetterman.
All right.
On the shutdown.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And it's the wrong thing for the country in a period of chaos. I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have... I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. Now let's have a conversation to extend it and not shut our government down.
Great point.
Yep.
The Obamacare subsidies were designed by the Democrats to expire. Republicans, pay attention because Fetterman made an argument I haven't heard you make yet.
Fetterman's doing a better job than you are.
On that one issue.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that they haven't done a good job, but I just...
But here's, again, the problem. Seriously, is he going to switch parties? But this is it, over and over again. Somebody did the story, I don't know if I bookmarked it, saying the concern... imagine that the shutdown were to continue until Thanksgiving flying week. Oh, that would be ugly. That would be ugly. I think that if the Democrats thought they could get away with it politically, they might. I don't see it going that long. But imagine that's, and we kind of brought that up. Right now, it's not peak flying season at airports. The point being, the more it affects people in what they want to do right now, then the more it becomes an issue, the louder the people get.
Well, what you'll have, especially when you look at, air traffic controllers, they probably make they make more money than TSA agents. If TSA agents aren't going to getting paid, a lot of them will quit and look for another job if they can find it.
Yeah, right.
I'm assuming they can get unemployment, right?
I don't know how that works, actually.
Yeah, I would say,
I assume they can.
They're
yeah.
Well, maybe not, because under federal law, they have to work. So technically they're working and will get back pay once it all happens. So you can't get unemployment.
Oh, that's right, because they're going to get
just thought about
back
that.
pay, then if that's interesting.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
Here at Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. 60%, Eric, of young liberals say it is acceptable to go beyond peaceful protest in response to immigration raids conducted by ICE, according to a survey by Signal Polling. 42% of liberals said it was acceptable to go beyond peaceful protest, even if that meant breaking the law. said a press statement from Virginia-based Signal, which added the number jumps to 60% of liberals under the age of 30. Liberals are shockingly okay with breaking the law to go against the government action they don't agree with, like ICE raids, said the Signal president. He continued, one side of the American political spectrum, whether directly engaged in the behavior or not, now openly accepts breaking laws if it means advancing their political agenda, considering their justification of illegal immigration and insistence that it's not a criminal act if the act is desperate. This might not be such a surprise.
Nope, not a surprise to me.
And remember, these are the laws enacted by Congress of the United States that are the elected representatives of the people.
Yep. Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.